one more time and let me know if you stepped into it. Good morning, everyone. This is our regular staff meeting for Tuesday, February 17th already. And I will call this meeting to order. We will start with our mid-month warrant review. Misty, anything of note? Okay. Any questions? There is just one item on the back of that page if folks saw it.
Oh, yeah. Madam Chairman, I have a question, and I'm sure it's because we must have a contract that says so, but we have snow plowing at Double Eagle for pavement markings for $350, and I can remember that it snowed. And so, I assume
Maybe it was dust.
my snowplow blade is still hasn't got the rust worked off of it yet, but I assume we must have a contract for them that we pay them $350 a month in the winter. Is that right?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Siddle, that is correct. So it's a monthly amount over the course of a year. So in snowier years, we don't get charged more. And unfortunately, in years like this, it does cause us some problems. So once this is sold, then it won't be our issue anymore. But yeah, this has been a painful bill to have to sign. So
That's what I figured, but I just wanted to double check on that.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
the
Commissioners?
very last item at the bottom, Warming Electric Incorporated, I don't know if anybody from Road and Bridge is here yet today. Maybe Ken can weigh in. I don't understand that. Was this something that we had to use a boom truck and we had to rent from Wyoming Rents? Or, I mean, not Wyoming Rents, Wyoming Electric? Are you familiar with
Madam
that?
Chair, Commissioner Dom, no, I'm not familiar with that.
Cameron, could you?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Garza, I do not know. I haven't seen the invoice, so I'm unsure. We can check into it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. We'll move on to staff and elected reports, and I'm gonna send this down to Madam Chair. Mark and Ken are messing with me this morning.
Nothing, Madam Chair, unless you have any questions.
Okay,
Got a few items on the regular agenda.
okay.
Same here, Madam Chair.
Okay, sounds good. Coco. Morning, okay. Misty, anything else? Kim? Deb? No, Madam Chair. Either? Dr. Bird?
Yep.
Okay. Jesse? Kimber? Morning, Kimber. Morning, Jeremy.
Morning. Commissioners, I'm just going to start out because obviously I'm Jeremy Kissling with the.
Speak right into that
mic-
microphone.
I don't know if that, there we go.
Sorry,
You
is
can
it
You
on?
can move it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can.
Use
I'm
your
Jeremy
judgment.
Kissling, the Fair Board Chairman, and part of the reason we're here this morning on this report with Kimber, some exciting things have been going on. She has applied for a grant. She's kind of stepped out of her comfort zone and some of those things, and so she's going to address that. But I just want everybody to know that there's good and exciting things going on, and that she's nervous to speak this morning and provide her ask based on what she's done. But she's doing good things and starting to look for funding and some things for improvements at the fairgrounds. So.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Last week, I brought to you that we had applied for a grant with the SLIB for that concrete area. At that time, I made an error, and there is a commitment letter requirement with that grant. So let me read because I am nervous about this, and I don't typically have oversights, is what I'm going to say. So this is a big deal, in my opinion. So, and I want to apologize for that. Thanks for your time today. I'm here regarding a pedestrian infrastructure grant application for improvements at Sheridan County Fairgrounds. focused on safety and accessibility behind the main grandstands and in the handicap parking area. As part of the application, a one-to-one match is required. In moving forward with this submission, I want to acknowledge that I missed bringing a formal letter of commitment to you in advance. I take responsibility for that oversight, and we will ensure our process is more thorough going forward. Despite that, this project represents a meaningful investment in public safety and accessibility at the facility that serves our entire community. With that, I respectfully request your consideration for a letter of commitment for the required match. That's estimated at approximately $160,000. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Comments?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Jennings?
thanks for coming up on that. I know it's not always easy working
No.
through these things. You did a great job,
Thank you.
especially being new to grants, so with this particular project. So the letter of commitments for the 160, I just want to make sure that I'm clear on the process. If we approve a letter of commitment, then if that grant is approved, the approval still comes to us before, or does that letter of commitment basically say, if we get the grant, we're going?
That's my understanding. Cameron?
Madam Chair. Commissioner Jennings, this letter of commitment is saying that with the grant process, you are authorizing 160,000, so you're going to give the one-to-one match. But you're correct, documents are going to come to you and you still have a chance to reject the whole grant at that time.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Cameron, for that clarification.
And then I guess my second question, it kind of boils down to the idea of the 160. I know we talked about this last meeting. Do we have any idea before we put forward a letter of commitment where those funds might come from?
I guess it would depend on, because we don't yet know what revenues are gonna look like. And that would also include our 1 cent optional. Commissioner Arzi, you look like you're
I-
thinking about?
Yeah, I'm going down a different badger hole. I'm curious about how much this will be geared towards ADA. You see where I'm going with this?
It will be, I'll say it's going to provide a lot more accessibility for the ADA needs. I'm sure that going down that avenue is going to push this into perhaps some different directions. But the concrete area behind the grandstands, as a lot of you know, is a gravel area. So for people, even able-bodied people, sometimes it's difficult to walk back in that area. So it would give a bigger, I'll say, landing space behind the grandstand areas for people to maneuver and get to either the walkways up to the grandstands or to the ramp where they can get to their ADA areas. The other part is the handicap parking in the parking lot, where right now it's a hard surface. So when they're unloading their devices onto that area, it is a harder surface, which I guess if we don't have bad weather, it may work, but providing a stable either concrete or asphalt area in that area would be very much a benefit to those handicap parking spots.
I don't feel like, knowing what Cameron just said about, not approving the whole kit caboodle if we were to be successful, doesn't really change the conversation from what we had the other week when we supported you submitting that. So unless we need to do something more formal, I think you could work with Kelly on just putting that letter together.
The email that I received on Friday requested the letter of commitment, and then it has to be submitted back to them by February 20th, or the grant is pulled. Or if the board decides not to move forward with it, I can just let them know that we're going to pull our grant application.
Madam Chair. Kimber, just trying to again process where the money might come from. When is if we're approved for this, when's that deadline?
They didn't give a deadline of when the application would be awarded, but once it's awarded, then you have 12 months to get the project completed.
2 years, okay. So if for some reason we could not find the money within this year, there's
It's
possibility
a 12-month cycle.
next year. Okay, all right, thank you.
Madam Chairman, I'd just like to say that I really like us doing some progressive things up there at the fairgrounds to try and make some stuff happen. And I appreciate Kimber looking for the funds and I believe that if when push comes to shove, hopefully we can banter around and figure out where the $160,000 can come from. And so I appreciate us looking at going forward, especially with the ADA stuff at the fairgrounds. And thank you.
Madam Chair, I would just add that, yeah, the ADA at the fairgrounds is sorely lacking. If you talk to anybody that has to use those ramps in those areas, and we're coming up on budget season, so consider that in our budget.
I would just add that, I don't know how many of you know, I lost my second brother here a while back, but for about 8-10 years, he was in a wheelchair. I was only able to actually get him to the Sheridan Wild Rodeo one time. It was just, it was a push. It was hard, very hard. So, you know, he said he didn't like the idea of doing it anymore. So I didn't take him. So I think this is a step in the right direction for us. So thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioners.
Robert?
Morning, Robert Gill, Sheridan County Airport Manager. I just wanted to give an update on the building number 5 conversion. This is the old FedEx building. We signed a contract agreement with Axbuild on that. And procuring materials took quite a bit of time, but we're going to hold a pre-construction meeting today. And it looks like they're getting started on the concrete work on the inside of the building. Still probably won't take place until next month, but moving forward on that project. And then had a proposed project brought forward to me last week. Might seem counterintuitive on an airport, but it's for a cell tower. Of course, the big concern would be preserving airspace around the airport. We just recently updated the county rules on that. Falls under FAR Part 77. For the most part, what they're proposing looks like it'll work. It's on the kind of the northeast end of the airport. Of course, I asked them that, or let them know that the height obviously would be the biggest concern, and they're proposing that they can get away with a 60-foot tower. And I guess just to provide some context there in the location that they're proposing, the height of the tower would actually still be below the surface of the main runway. So it sits a little bit in the draw, but they're trying to look at covering the kind of Laux Big Goose area on that end. Reached out to the FAA, talked to them on it, and really just an air case study needs to be done on it. So I kind of just wanted to get some general feedback, but that would be the next step for the group proposing this project to go. But just wanted to see if there was any major no's on this from the start before I have them start going through the work of seeing if this would work with the FAA.
Yeah.
Madam Chairman. Yeah. So I think that, precedents, we have a cell tower at the fairgrounds already on county property. Like you said, my only concerns would be as long as we're not disrupting any kind of service at the airport and that the FAA approves of it, I can't see where it would be a big issue. Obviously, I guess I assume that they'd be paying a monthly lease, and when it's income for us on property that's probably otherwise unusable to us. So I think it doesn't seem like a bad deal to me.
And I guess just some additional notes on that too. If the FAA is okay with the height, which, we'll basically get their blessing first, then we're going to get it released for non-aeronautical use. So we'll get their blessing on that as well too, that, it's land that wouldn't be used for aeronautical anyway. And then I guess I would just add to that there's a lot of private property options nearby. So you probably see it coming towards you or to you in a CUP if it doesn't go this route anyway. So
So Robert, we would officially see this once, I guess there's a contract for that space.
Yeah, I think eventually just
Yeah.
the ground lease agreement is how I would bring it to you guys. But
Just here to see if it gives anybody heartburn.
yeah, there's
Okay.
just some initial steps before we even get that far, so.
Any heartburn?
I got a heartburn, but I'm.
Madam Chair, I guess that's
Plenty of other things.
a question for Mark over there. Will this actually be presented as a special use permit or conditional use permit and go through planning and zoning? Or is it just all our thing because of their?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Arzino, activity on the airport, it's, I can say dictated, but it's controlled by the airport master plan, so things that occur out there, the airport manager submits us a letter, it simply says this complies with the airport master plan, and off it goes, so it does not go to the PNC.
Thank you.
You bet.
That's essentially what we would be doing when the FAA releases it for non-aeronautical use. Of course, it's not on our master plan, but they would be giving a letter stating that that's okay.
Hi, folks, come on in. All right, any other, oh, sorry, Robert.
That's all I have.
Okay. Questions, great. Thank you, appreciate it.
Robert.
Kelly? Jenny?
Madam Chair.
Levi?
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners, Levi Dominguez, Sheridan County Sheriff. Just coming before you today to ask to replace a full-time control operator position within the jail. We had a full-time control operator leave within the last few weeks, and we're looking to replace that. This is already a budgeted position within the sheriff's office with actual detention budget, so just asking that.
For our standard operating procedures, I'd look for a motion.
Madam Chairman,
Commissioner Siddle.
I move that the sheriff be able to fill his control operator position.
Second.
Got a motion and a tie for a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Levi. Good. Anything this morning? Camry?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Jennings?
Thank you.
Commissioner Arsey?
We have another line on, so I'll wait till.
Okay. Commissioner Siddle?
Just, I want everybody to know that caring is sharing. We had 3 people here with a cold last week and they were so gracious as to share it with me. So now I've got it too, but it's all good. We'll survive it, I'm sure.
Okay, I'm sure. Commissioner Wright?
Madam Chair, just to say, thank you for the cold.
Yeah, so I shared it with Commissioner Wright on the way home.
Commissioner Siddle and I are on public pulse on Thursday. If you have any birding items that need to be discussed, just drop us a line.
We had a great County Commissioner Association meeting last week. Alan Thompson was down even to give us a little presentation on de-escalating conflict and reminded us that 95% of communication is body language. So, and there were a lot of good things that came out of it, just from the education standpoint, and some things I definitely want to chat with Mark about, and Mark Ramber as well. So anyway, it was a good week. 3 weeks left of the legislature. So I'm sure inboxes are full, but thanks everybody for being down there. Gosh, was it last week? I'm in a time warp. But Commissioner Jennings had talked about wanting to put together a committee to put together some loose guidance on our Roberts rules. And so I chatted briefly with her and Nick, and think a good sized committee would be those two and Clint to start working on those. So thank you folks for that time.
Yep.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just kind of a request. I don't know if we've got any copies of the current Roberts rules. in the office here. I don't know if Clint does or not, but, if we don't have one, I would appreciate if we could maybe get one for a couple for the office so that as we work through this, we have it available.
Okay. Sure, we can get a hold of those. All right. Moving on. Commissioner Arzi.
Okay, so, we've already kind of went through this discussion a little bit. We're looking for comments from the board as, the direction that we're going. Clint and I and Cameron had a meeting last Friday. And, so what we're trying to do here is to kind of streamline the warrant reviews and get the warrant reviews done before actually paying the warrants as per statute. The big one that we had a problem with was how do we deal with payroll? We can actually do the warrants and it would actually simplify things to do them weekly, every week at a staff meeting, to a motion to approve the warrants. But the one that's gonna be the tough one would be payroll, because we don't know exactly when someone has a little overtime or someone doesn't, I mean, there's a glitch there. So what we decided to do is to give ourselves, the three of us, the best that we could come up with would be, let's approve kind of like and this is just standard operating procedure. This is not something of a resolution per se. It's just something we can do in office. And if we do the payroll on the second week of the month, to adopt it for that month, then that gives us 2 weeks of crunch time. And I think that
So-
might work pretty good for you, right?
Commissioner Arzi, the memo I have says the second Monday,
Yeah,
not the second Tuesday.
or, I'm sorry, second. yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
Second
okay,
Monday, yeah.
okay.
And I think that a sample motion would be, I move to approve the warrants as presented. Payroll, WS 18-4102B states all salary and wages payments to persons employed by the county, including county officers, may be made by direct deposit if the county clerk chooses to implement the direct deposit program, unless the employee elects not to participate in the program. The county clerk shall receive an order from the Board of County Commissioners authorizing the release of monies prior to each county payroll distribution as provided by subsection A of this section. So, in speaking with Clint, the BOCC could add another motion on the second Monday, okay, of each month authorizing the release of monies for direct deposit and payroll and paying payroll liabilities. For example, I move to authorize the release of monies in order for the county clerk to complete the payroll distribution on February 27th, 2026. And that would have to, so it would be March 30th or as we go along, I think. And this is as close as we could come to a really good, definite path forward.
So just to summarize for folks, warrants will be reviewed every Monday at staff. On the second Monday, we would be making a motion to approve payroll.
Yes.
So we're clear.
Yep.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Just a second. I'm sorry. I had Ida right before you, Commissioner Jennings.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
my understanding is it's not just to review on Monday, it's also approval.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Review
And then my request would be that we move this idea for payroll, which is a great idea, to the first Monday because of law enforcement. So we've had a law enforcement payroll that was like the third.
Okay.
Because it's every 28 days. So I don't know. That would be my only suggestion, is if we want to catch all the payrolls, unless this one time a month we move forward and catch law enforcement whenever it occurred.
Okay, I think
I don't know
Cameron
what
has
your
a,
understanding would be.
Madam Chair, the clerk's correct. It's only to release the monies for payroll. And so if you wanted to do it the first Monday, you could do it the third Monday. It's releasing them for whatever payroll is in that month. So I have no issues with the first Monday.
I don't guess it matters to me what Monday we do it, as long as we're consistent.
Right.
Okay.
Anyway, that's all I had, Madam Chair, on this, and I'll look for input back.
Yeah,
It's a good way to go.
yeah, I appreciate Clint and Cameron's input on this, very critical. And Edith's as well. All right, well, I don't think we need formal approval for this. It's procedural. We'll just get it incorporated.
Okay.
All right. And I had one item, before we move on to Thomas. Good morning. Thanks for being here. We have a certificate of appreciation for Jackie Dygert. She's got chamber bucks, and a certificate of recognition. She's been with us for 5 years, and we had a bit of a snafu, yes, with how her start date was recorded, and so we were a bit behind. Eric, may I give this to you to pass on, and please give her our regards and appreciation. Thank you. All right. Thomas, good morning.
Good morning.
The floor is yours, sir. Is it not working?
Pay the electric bill.
Hey.
Warm up the tubes.
Okay, all right. Thomas, while we're waiting, do you want to just give us a little introduction?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and yes, I will. My name is Thomas Morneau. I'm the city engineer for the city of Sheridan, and I'm here to present an update to the Board of County Commissioners as well as the county as a whole. An update on what the city is doing with our transportation master plan. We awarded this project in April of 2024, and now we're getting close to April of 2026. So it's been a 2-year process, but this is about doing it right and going through the right channels and presenting it and getting as much feedback as possible before we take the steps going forward. So this really all began in 2009 with a policy plan. So this policy plan had community inputs, steering committee. Their focus areas were mobility, driving, walking, bicycling, and transit. And it kind of listed out, gave us the next steps on what the city needed to do to create a master plan. So, you know, it said we had to develop project areas and locations, make a map, update costs, and do some project prioritization. So again, in April of 2024, we awarded a contract for professional services to Dowell to develop this master plan. And the first thing they did was they kicked off the project by forming our steering committee. That steering committee is made up of a wide variety of, entities, city staff, county planning, county engineering, the state wide out. We have the hub on Smith, we have fire and EMS. So we really try to get a broad scope of entities to provide input and feedback. This steering committee was the group that was providing the recommendations to our selected consultant, not just city staff. That's really important here. It is a community-driven project. So in June 30th of 2024, we had our first steering committee meeting. They introduced the project and they reviewed the existing information. This steering committee determined that the 2009 policy plan and the information in that policy plan was still relevant, but since there was roughly a 16-year gap from the policy plan to now, they strongly recommended re-engaging the public. So below, we had 3 public meetings where we had public engagement opportunities as well as just presenting the same information to the public. The third one there in December was at the hub on Smith. That was the West Corridor project. Again, this is part of the transportation project, but that's also its own unique entity, so it gets its own public meeting. One thing the city did differently than we have in the past is we actually launched an interactive online map. Again, we realized that we can't get all the public input at these public meetings. Some people can't attend and whatnot. So this was put out there and we actually received 115 comments in a 5-month period, which is pretty substantial for the city to get that kind of feedback and information. In March of 2025, the steering committee met again, so our consultant had time to digest all the new information and put it together and bring it forward to the steering committee. And the steering committee reviews the input received and then makes additional recommendations and feedback for the final reports. So below is a couple of those comments that have come up. Number one, what might be interesting to this board: extend Highland Ave north to Fort Road. As you can see on the left hand of the screen, that is one of the projects that was discussed heavily in our steering committee, but that is Highland Road and a potential connection to Fort Road. This has come up in the past for various other reasons, drainage issues, lack of connectivity, et cetera. But this is why it's important that this master plan and what the city's doing comes before you guys, so that this comes before this board, so that you are aware of what's going on, because this does involve potential county areas and projects. In October of 2025, the draft plan was posted on the city website. It was posted on there for a month. It had 54 projects. I believe about 24 of those projects were in or had portions of in the county. Below is kind of a summary of 18 comments of what we received. We had there was a proposed airport road project. We had 7 against that. We had 2 against the West Corridor, 1 for the West Corridor, and a couple of general comments. So again, we're continuing to take this feedback and bring it forward to our consultant and committee to review and address. So just I'm going to go through just a couple slides of some of the projects here. So one of the projects that didn't receive much favorability was a Bluebird Lane connection. So that's Osprey Hill. This is on the west side of town, just north of Big Goose Road, right adjacent to city limits there. If there was ever a West Corridor or a future opportunity to connect and provide a secondary emergency access for that subdivision, that was something that the steering committee had discussed. Airport Road project. And I had 7 comments from the public, all in the county, I believe, who were against this project. This project is unique because it's really tied to if there's ever a West Corridor that goes south of Big Goose Road and connects to Upper Road. Again, this is a conceptual alignment that we have for Airport Road. And again, the southern portion of the West Corridor is also still at its very infant stages of conceptualization. So again, this isn't a project. It is something that we are just looking at and evaluating at a high level of if we have these connections or opportunities to make these connections, these things should be considered. West Corridor again gets its own slide because it is so unique. But again, this is a project that goes through the county, into the city, back into the county, back into the city. So again, projects that have a joint effort between city, county, even the state. So our draft summary report. So the changes have been made after the public comment period. We had YDOT has given this master plan a letter of support and approval. We took all the public's comments and feedback and we made sure to update that into the reports. Below there on the bottom right-hand side, I have a quote that is now in our report. This actually came from a county resident who was concerned about some of these conceptual alignments going through some county areas. It's important to note that just because it's a line on a map right now doesn't mean it's a project by any means. We're not funding any of these, maybe besides we're currently looking at the West Corridor, but none of these are actually ongoing projects. So I'm going to read that quote because it's really important for all of us to know and understand. Most of the transportation improvement projects include conceptual roadways that go through private property and right-of-way that has not been obtained for these projects at this time of the study. Future studies and coordination with landowners and developers are needed to finalize alignments and obtain the right-of-way. So the process for the West Corridor is a great example of how we get from these concept alignments to the physical right-of-way that's obtained. So this report does not obtain any right-of-way or create any projects. It is merely a tool to allow us to continue to evaluate and look at what we need to consider obtaining going forward. So here's a breakdown. That's just the entire map of projects that is shown in our report. It might be hard to see, but you can see that that black outer line is city limits, and then that the highlighted shaded area surrounded by the gold line there, that is our joint planning area. And there is quite a few roads and corridor projects that are shown conceptualized in that joint planning area. Here's the west side of town again. That's our west corridor. And again, it shows if the west corridor is built, a lot of future or potential connections that should be considered. Again, projects that would go through an entire planning process to get there. East side of town, we don't talk much about east side of town, but there is growth continuing to happen out there as well. So there needs to be some consideration or at least forethought into what a potential east quarter would look like. Again, this is very high level. These are only conceptual alignments, and as the need comes, we'd narrow into what we need to actually look at and prioritize. But again, not projects, just concepts to consider. Very important for our joint planning area. Which leads me to the joint planning area. Currently, the city and county are working together to update the joint planning agreements. That's our 1 mile radius buffer. So this master plan is going to provide a really powerful resource and tool for all entities when looking at potential projects and future transportation corridors and what needs to be considered. That joint planning area and that document is how we as the city and working with the county begin to preserve right away. So this document here is the crux, but the transportation master plan will provide a really valuable tool for those discussions. And again, the corridors identified in the joint planning area, again, help city and county staff work with private landowners to secure right away going forward. So this is from, I believe, 2017, the proposed future land use map. This is in our joint planning area. The west corridor is identified on this map, and that is how the city and county have jointly been able to preserve right away. So when we update our joint planning agreement and area, we will hopefully have a brand new land use map, and maybe some of those corridors that are shown and identified in the City of Sheridan's Transportation Master Plan can be referenced in there because through the public process and identifying the needs of Sheridan as well as Sheridan County. So kind of the next steps, this was presented to the County Planning and Zoning in early February. A project update was provided to our City Council and Planning Commission as study items on the 9th. I'm here before you today to present this to you at your staff meeting to bring you guys this board up to speed on this project. And then the intent is to go forward next week to present this along with a resolution to the City Council and Planning Commission. And then if all goes forward and we get a recommendation for approval from our Planning Commission, this will go forward back to our City Council in March for comment and then consideration for adoption. With that, I knew I threw a lot of information out at this board. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Thomas? Commissioner Arce?
Are you familiar with YDOT's project on Coffee Street, and did you care to weigh in on whether or not we have an economic or an environmental impact study done on Coffee Street? Because I understand since it's inside city limits, you guys have to say on how we approach this.
Through you, Madam Chair, Commissioner Arce. The city is aware of the YDOT project on Coffee. We have not had any discussions, at least I haven't, on any of the environmental impacts and ESA. YDOT's main focus in the meetings they've had with me and our public works director has all been related to safety and why they are doing this project. So they are getting city buy-in as well as our council's buy-in on this project, but that's all the information I have.
No economic impact study done on this today either.
I do not believe so.
That's right. You have something?
I got nothing.
You're waiting to.
Waiting in line.
Go ahead.
It's you, Madam Chair. Mr. Monell, thank you for the update. Read through this plan and, I see some really, really good projects in there that personally, I'm a little bit excited about the one on Midland Road because I think it will take care of some of the traffic issues there, but also there's a project to connect over by Sugarland over into that large mobile home park. And I mean, there's some really, really good plans in there, and I understand this is a tool. I also understand there's some things in there that I think people are really nervous about. So I appreciate the continued push to really get into public involvement, to hear how people want this community developed. So, thank you.
Yeah, I would just say that, I think the timing of this dovetails really nice with us getting going on the joint planning area updates. So really, really good and timely information for that, especially after our COVID blip. Yeah, so thank you for that. And Mark, thank you for connecting us with Thomas and helping us have this happen this morning. All right. With that, we are adjourned for our staff meeting, and folks have about 4 minutes if they need to use the restroom, and we will meet back here shortly.